Do life's greatest questions seem like a mystery? Well, we're probably going to talk about it here at Appalachian Liturgy. Important questions like, are you a Jedi or an Imperial? Is oatmeal actually a breakfast cereal? Is a Catholic weekday really called a ferial? Did you know that Mr. Rogers was Presbyterial? So join us as we have a little fun talking about thy kingdom come. Appalachian Liturgy.
Okay, welcome everyone to the next episode of the Appalachian Liturgy podcast. I am Justin Stacy.
I'm Brooke Ashley.
And I'm Justin Bowling.
And today we have our good friends Jason Ingles and his wife Christina with us. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. So they're heavily involved in the Teal Pumpkin Project, so we invited them on to talk a little bit about that. And spoilers, this is a Halloween episode. We're not dressed just for fun, even though we could. Popeye is a great costume to have. I should wear it like every episode now.
Well, I'm pretty sure as a quarantine mom, I've looked this way many times throughout the last 7 months.
That's probably true. So yeah, thanks guys for being on. But so the first thing I guess that we want to talk about is sort of the history of Halloween, how it is that we celebrate the way we celebrate, and why is it that many Christians don't want to celebrate it, think that you can't because you're Christian or whatever. So we're going to talk about all those things. So I'm going to kick us off with a little history. We have to go back a couple thousand years to the Celts, and they would celebrate something called Samhain, which is not spelled the way it's pronounced. It's Samhain. So they celebrated this on November 1st, and it was an end of summer harvest celebration, beginning of winter type thing. On the eve of that year, they believed that the earth, the natural realm, and the spirit realm, it was like the lowest point for those to meet. And they believed that the spirit realm would actually enter earth and roam around and basically do bad things. They were scared of these spirits. So a lot of them would dress up to try and hide from the spirits. A lot of them would actually put out food and drink and, different type of sacrifices at their doorstep to keep the spirits at bay, to kind of satisfy them. And they would even, like some of the druids, the Celt druids, would actually like pray to these spirits to try and figure out prophecy, future telling. And so a lot of people would go to these druids to learn their future during this time. So that was really the pagan origin that people like to harp about. This is the beginnings of that. So then you fast forward to 43 AD, and that's when the Roman Empire conquered the Celts. And over the next 400 years, the Roman Empire blended their celebrations with the Celtic celebration of Samhain. So they had Fiera. You probably know this. You're Roman Catholic, Bowling.
Stuck on your 43 AD. I'm not sure what them conquering the Celts then was, but Feralia,
Fiera, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. So that was their celebration for that. The second day they honored Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. So that's kind of where your apples and things that entered the celebrations. That's where the roots of that came in at. So then let's fast forward, a few more hundred years to 731 to 741. Pope Gregory III combined All Saints' Day and the Feast of the Martyrs and moved it to November 1st to match with this celebration. In 1000 AD, the church made All Souls Day November 2nd, which had the same type of celebrations, or was celebrated by, I guess, more of the pagan traditions. Because I guess part of the goal here was to get these people that had the traditions of the pagans, to get them into church. So what better way than to take their holidays and just
steal their holiday,
reuse them, right? So a lot of the celebrations blended, basically. And All Saints Day is known as Hallowmas, so the Mass of the Saints. And then, of course, this is where our All Hallows Eve comes from. The October 31st is from Hallowmas. So that pretty much takes us through the prehistoric history. So then you fast forward to America, and the first colonial celebrations of Halloween included plays and parties. They would tell stories of the dead. They would dance, they would sing. I mean, you've probably seen, even in Hocus Pocus, you've seen what the colonial celebrations look like. That they were
great
doing
documentary.
That great documentary, exactly. So ghost stories, playing tricks, and causing mischief was all a part of these celebrations that started up in America. So by the 19th century, Americans have adopted many European traditions for Halloween. The dressing up, the playing tricks. Interesting note is that the trick part of trick or treat used to be way more like malicious than what it is now. Like it was like blackmail. So people would go around and be like, if you don't give me something, I'm going to egg your house or toilet paper your house or screw your house up. So you have to give me something. So it was in the early 1900s. That's the way it was.
I thought that's the way it was in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up too.
Well, there's still the element of playing tricks. Like people still do it, but it's not necessarily for candy. It's kind of separated from that now. So let's see. By the 50s, the baby boom. So I thought this was an interesting point. The baby boom created the desire to move Halloween to the youth. So it went from being more adult-centered parties to youth-centered parties. We got all these babies. We need to do something, do something with them. So
I'm out of here.
So stick a costume on them. Let them wander strangers' houses.
Exactly. Get them
out of
candy.
the house, kid.
You got to feed them somehow, right?
That's right.
Come back when you have candy.
So the celebrations moved from the town square to inside the house in the classroom. And they say that this was actually when the pranks started decreasing, because if the celebrations can be controlled by adults or whatever, then it's not going to be as much vandalism. Although when I was growing up, we had a lot of like people putting trees in the road and setting them on fire, that type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a new one. Yeah.
Yeah, they would block the roads. I mean,
wow.
It was at the time I didn't realize like how dangerous that was. Like anybody, if there an ambulance or anything needed to go through, they would have been blocked. So that was pretty terrible.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Hurley, so that might explain
So you don't wanna
things.
know.
All right.
Enough said.
That's it.
Don't
All right.
drive through Buchanan County on Halloween. It could be
No,
a
I mean
burn.
that was a fear of a lot of people, is to drive on Halloween night. So then I have one last point, just some extras. The fear of black cats came from the Middle Ages, when people believed that witches would turn themselves into black cats. So that's where that superstition came from. And that women would often use fortune telling during this time to figure out if they were going to get a husband in the next year. So I thought that was a kind of interesting point.
Huh.
All right. So that's pretty much the history that I got from the History Channel's topic document that I read.
So, do we know why the Celts dressed up very, very, very early on? Was it like their way of blending in with the ghosts that they
Yeah,
felt
that's
were...
my understanding. Was they tried to dress as they thought the spirits, so the spirits wouldn't recognize them as people.
Gotcha.
They would just think they were one of them.
And that
Again,
makes sense.
watch Hocus Pocus. The witches did not recognize those kids. It's a documentary. It really is.
It's true. Yeah, they
Yeah.
actually didn't.
Yeah.
It's a good
They're
point.
like,
They
I can
said,
smell the kids, but I'm confused. They're ghosts. And
the best part was they thought that old guy, I forget the actor's name,
Yeah,
but they thought he was
That
Satan.
old guy.
That master.
Calling him master.
Master. Yeah.
Master.
And then the Yorkie got after him. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I do have to admit,
The
I
wife
didn't
with
see
her
this movie for the
cigarettes and
first time
stuff.
until last year. It was the very
What?
first time I know. My wife was
wow.
disappointed when I told her that. She's like, "We are watching it," and we've probably seen it 5 times since last year. Now.
What is wrong with you?
We are
I
watching
watch it at least twice every year. What is?
I've seen it 5
Yes.
times in like the past year since the first time I've seen it.
Do y'all have any
He's
other?
catching up. He's catching up.
Y'all have any other like Halloween tradition movies or shows that you watch every year?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids love that one.
Yeah, I watched a lot more scarier films before we had kids, of course.
Mhm.
And then once you have kids, it's like, well, let's get them in bed and wait until a certain time we can actually watch them.
And then you're asleep.
And then you're asleep or Christina's asleep, and I'm just like, well, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, for me as a kid, like I would stay awake and like intentionally, because my bedroom was like would lead into the hallway, which had like a clear shot into the living room where our TV was. And so like when my mom or my stepdad would be watching like Pet Cemetery, like I thought when we buried our animals, they were going to come back to life. Like it just terrified me, you know? And like Nightmare on Elm Street, I thought, my gosh, it's got to be the scariest villain ever, because you can't even get away in your dreams. Like he just pops up like, hey, I'm here. So you can't even like lock a door to keep him out, right? He's in your dreams. So like I was terrified, but I grew up loving that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then like the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, his name was Jason. He drowned. I was a kid named Jason. I was not a very good swimmer when I was younger, so
Pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing.
That's a good hero for you.
But I grew up watching a lot of those old films. But now, like, I think it's the Friday or the Freeforms October, whatever they do.
30
it's like
days
a
of Halloween.
30
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So now we like try to watch a lot of those films, and they're
Yeah.
all family friendly, of course. So
Halloween Town is one that I loved when I was a kid, and Halloween Town 2.
we just watched that
Really?
last week or the week
first
before
one,
last.
yeah, we've not watched the second one with the kids yet. We watched the
Yeah, we
first
watched the second one.
I loved it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I loved those.
I couldn't remember watching it, so I don't know if when we watched it, if that was my first time watching it or not.
Right.
I couldn't remember watching it. But it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
Charlie Brown, the Big Pumpkin. Is that what it's
Charlie
called?
Brown, yeah.
Yeah.
The Great Pumpkin.
The Great
Great
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
So I read some disappointing news about that this year. They
Oh,
signed an
no.
exclusive deal with Apple, so now it's not going to air on anything other than Apple TV. Yeah, I mean
for the first time in like ever.
in ever. Yeah,
Well, I got the
crazy.
DVD. You can't take that away from me.
Apple is going to come and punch you in the face and take your DVD.
Bunch of kids dressed up as Steve Jobs are just going to show up at your house and rob the place of all Charlie Brown DVDs and stuff.
I do have a 3-month subscription of Apple TV, so it's not that big of a disappointment. I'm going to watch it anyway. Take that, Apple. I'll use your Surface.
Just save those like free trials for the holidays.
That's right.
Sign up.
That's right.
Get your 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and then just cancel it.
Do you have anything that you watch regularly, Brooke, during Halloween?
No, we had some family traditions. My parents always threw a big Halloween party, and it was adults only. So we have a couple memories of that. Like one year, my aunt dressed my sister and I up as old women, like the,
Oh, wow.
and snuck us in and said, you're adults. And then one year, I wasn't a teenager. I mean, I was still in elementary school. My mom dressed up as a flasher, like had on a nude leotard and a big trench coat. And so I remember, I mean, like that was kind of scary for me as a kid.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, she went to answer the door, and it was like the person that I considered to be the holiest person in the world, you know, as a kid. And she opens the door and flashes at him, and then shuts the coat, and like he about passes out on the front porch. Like, just,
That's hilarious.
so, I mean, costumes were always a big deal, and you know, so but no movies or anything. Just my dad absolutely trick-or-treated us to death. I mean, I don't know why he couldn't just go buy his own candy. But
That's why he didn't want to buy it.
That's right.
He would trick-or-treat us to death. So, but
Dad
it was
tax is no fun.
Oh no!
At that point, if you're pretty much taxing your own candy. So,
what was your all's favorite costume as a kid? I can tell you mine immediately, and it's Gumby.
Gumby?
Gumby, and I tried my best to find an adult plus size Gumby for tonight. I tried my best, and I could not find it.
You would have turned Sarah off from watching this. She's terrified of Gumby.
Well, that was my goal.
That was my goal.
Mine was probably I dressed up as Mario one year, and I was determined that I was going to use like, you know, I was going to have the perfect costume. It was I wanted to be the Mario from Mario 3 specifically.
Okay.
And I have, you know, a bunch of people in my family who hunt, and one of them had caught a raccoon. And so I had a real raccoon tail as part of my costume.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
That was
That's
now
cool.
that I think back about it, that's a little bit of a odd choice, but that was how my costume was put
That's
together.
really cool.
That's
It was
That's
very
really
awesome.
cool, yeah.
I can see like a younger you. Oh, that's the missing part.
Yeah.
That's all
Chase
I
the
needed.
raccoon down.
Raccoon tail. It's complete.
I don't know. I mean, I always wanted the store-bought costumes, you know, and I'm older than I think most of you all, but you know, it was the full plastic shield map face with like the little slits and the little.
Yep.
I mean, I wanted that those plastic things. I
They were
wanted those
terrible.
so bad.
Yeah.
But my
Your
mom,
face would sweat.
yeah, so mom would say they cost too much money, so she always made us costumes, and so we've had some really fun ones. And then I think some of my favorite ones, or that I'd make for my girls growing up when they were growing up. So we always went way overboard on Halloween costumes, and but they were fun.
Yeah.
I was that kid that wanted to be anything scary. Like, have you seen the meme on Facebook where the kids sit there in the pre-K classroom dressed as it? And there's always that one parent. Yeah. I was that. I was that kid.
Halloween is her
I was
favorite
that
holiday,
kid.
by the way. Full disclaimer there.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, we would go trick-or-treating for most of the night, and then usually hit up a church before, maybe an hour before the celebration ends or whatever. They would have what's called Hallelujah Night, and this church, of course, did not. The reason why they had Hallelujah Night was to convince you not to go trick-or-treating and dress up and all that. They obviously had a big issue with Halloween. So what mom would do, because she wanted us to do both, she would take us trick-or-treating. We would dress up, but we would usually dress up in things like those plastic costumes Brooke was just talking about. That way you take them off easily and then go to Hallelujah Night. We got both. We were double dipping. Hey, it was double the candy, double the prizes. You know, it was pretty fun.
Oh, my parents would take us to, I mean, if we even had something in that neighborhood. I mean, we went to both grandparents' neighborhood. We went to our own neighborhood. We went to old neighborhoods. I mean, we literally trick-or-treated till one of us fell asleep.
Wow.
Yeah, we always went to the rich neighborhoods because they had the best candy. So, and it was like every single house. Like you didn't have to walk 10 miles or drive like 5 houses to get to the next house.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents could literally just sit in the car and slow roll it down the road
Yeah.
while you were house, racking up candy. So,
and everybody was home and everybody was doing it. And,
yeah.
you know.
Awesome decorations. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like every house on the block would be fully decorated, and then they'd answer the door in their costumes. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, so
You don't see that anymore.
No,
my dad
that's
one
so
year
sad.
created this being on the front porch, and took a fishing line and tied it to the hand of it. And as people would come up, he would pull it through the window.
Yeah.
Great.
So last year, the first year I didn't trick or treat, I went on my porch and like painted my whole arm green and put my hand like in the bowl, like sitting like that, and would grab people as they came by. And I had a blast doing that.
That was fun.
We did it out in the boonies, so I didn't get to do it to as many people as I would have liked. But I do remember like the next week after that, I don't know what type of paint I had used, but it just would not come off. So I would walk around with a green arm.
Showing up at school with a green arm.
Yeah, we used to hit up like a lot of trailer parks. Trailer parks were really good for candy, and it's really easy to access door to door. So that's what we would do.
Yeah. I don't know that I ever really had a favorite costume. Probably the one I guess that I like and honestly remember the most was my mom. She was a dental assistant for like 20 some years, and she had dressed me up as a dentist one year, and I thought that was pretty cool because I meant I was her boss essentially. But the worst costume I think was this one year she made this gigantic eyeball, and Mom, if you're ever watching this, I apologize. I couldn't stand this thing. Like I put it on, and just to make her happy, and then later I was like, this is too embarrassing. I can't do this. I'm not wearing it. Made the biggest fit ever. Finally, she's just like, whatever. So then I just walked around, and I didn't get any candy because obviously I wasn't dressed up. So I just ended up walking around with my brother and sister.
Wow.
But yeah, it was
an eyeball.
That's a giant eyeball. Yeah,
I have not heard this story.
Poster board. Like she cut it out and drew the little veins and eyes and everything. I mean, it looked really good. It's just, it was embarrassing. Like at that age, I was like, I guess I was a young teen at that point, and I was like, this is just not. Nobody else is an eyeball. Like, where does this is a little embarrassing here. Like, I need to be something cool or something. But she put a lot of work into it.
One year, I dressed up as Elvis in a jumpsuit, and my family was acquaintances with an Elvis impersonator, so he let me borrow a suit. And I was always a big kid, so I fit right in it. I went as Elvis. Honestly, Mom has all these pictures. I should probably get a picture and put in our video of that.
There you go.
There's a couple pictures of me floating around.
Does everyone have like a childhood picture of them dressed up? We could put that in this video.
Don't know if
I mean, not on location here, but I might be able to dig one up.
I'd have to call Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to have it by Thursday at least. Which is tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We probably don't have time on it. Forget that. We don't have time.
So we'll just look at your photo.
Kidding.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it either. I will get the photo and show you all, but I'm not going to put it on.
Take one for the team.
Yeah.
I've got one. I'll send you one.
Okay.
If I can find it. I think I know where it's at.
Cool. So one thing that I really want to talk about is, I've seen some people sharing things about Halloween that Christians should not celebrate it. Basically, that it's pagan, it's dark, it's deals with witchcraft and just satanic imagery and all this stuff. And we know the history. I just went through it. So I thought we could touch on that for a few minutes. Like, do we think that there's actually some danger here, or since we're all enthusiastic about this, it seems. I don't feel like we believe that, but what do y'all think about that?
So, of course, my girls are all grown now, but when they were younger, we had some rules about what they could and could not dress up as. Mm-hmm. And as long as they were living in our house, they were not allowed to be witches or goblins or anything to deal with the occult, because we felt like there is part of Halloween that is celebrated by folks who are a part of the occult, and we didn't want to confuse them. We wanted them to be, to think of Halloween as being a fun holiday and not even dabble with that thought. So that was a rule for us. I mean, working on staff at churches, we've heard every argument about whether you should or shouldn't celebrate Halloween. And so, I mean, because Scripture does warn us about divination and spirits. And Christ follower, Christ casted out demons. And so I tend to believe that, you know, there is this opposite of good in the world, and it takes on many forms. And so I think we do have to be kind of careful about how we celebrate and what we think. And, you know, I mean, I know people who consider themselves to be witches, and it's a high holiday for them, you know. So I do think there's a place to be cautious.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever had like the hard, strict rules of what we could or could not dress up as. Obviously, you know, a devil would never work. I did dress up as a vampire one year, so vampire wasn't off limits. I may have been a warlock one year. I mean, so one of my mom's favorite shows was Bewitched. So she liked that type of thing. Actually, her other favorite show was Dark Shadows when she was a kid. So I think mom liked dark stuff anyway. So there was no strict rules, but I don't recall ever really dabbing into any of the dark stuff. I never wanted to. Like that, you know, I would never want to dress up as a devil, really, unless I was in a play, maybe. Maybe I would then, and I really wouldn't want to do like the whole red tail, red ear, red horn devil thing. Like, to me, that's not realistic of what the devil would actually look like. It would be probably a person.
So if you dress up as the devil, you want to do it right. Go the full.
Exactly. accurate Satan. Not this
50 heads. Just everything.
Like the TV show Lucifer.
Nice suit.
Yeah.
Quirky British humor.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think there's two different pieces here that you have to separate from each other. Like, on one hand, there's, we know that God created the world and everything he created was good. So, like, just because somebody used some kind of candy giving ritual in some obscure pagan cult 3,000 years ago doesn't necessarily mean that giving out candy is now officially always associated with, pagan rituals. Those types of things I feel like should be pretty blatantly fine. But I think Brooke does bring up a good point about celebrating the occult is a little different. But I think you also had a good point too there that I kind of was going to run by everybody and see what everybody thought is like, what is the difference between somebody who dresses up as a demon or Satan on Halloween, not intending to be like, worshiping Satan or something like that, versus somebody who may dress up as Satan in a play?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's why I brought it up. Because I don't really see a difference, to be honest. Yeah. Like, if your mind frame isn't like on Halloween isn't to celebrate these things, you could even dress up as Satan to make fun of Satan type thing.
So I think for us, because of what we do, the community was watching us.
Yeah.
And so
for sure.
we were catching a lot of flack sometimes just for participating.
Okay.
And so we needed to make it as innocent as possible. Because, even Paul goes in and he says this, he says, the statue that you're worshiping that you've unnamed, I have a name for it, So he doesn't shy away from secular things. And I think sometimes as the church, what we have done is we have tried to separate ourselves so much from things like that we have a bad reputation, that we're prudish, that we don't have any fun. So, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, of participating in secular things. It's like growing up, my kids' friends always thought that their mom and dad just listened to hymns from church because we were pastors, So I think it's important for folks to see you participating in secular things, that you don't always have to be, singing hymns or,
Yeah. So I went to a church when I was a teenager that I grew up in many different churches, all of them Baptist. And when I got into my early teens and before even to college, I went to a church that had like a gym, like a full-fledged gym with basketball goals and stuff. And I remember every Halloween they would throw like a party and basically invite kids from the neighborhood just to come in as a way of come play games and play sports and basketball. Just to, if you're here and, you know, you're able to interact with other students and Christians and stuff like that, you're less likely to be out doing the trick part of Halloween or getting into something you shouldn't be getting into, or, you know, I don't know, playing with a Ouija board or something, or, you know, doing something you probably shouldn't be doing. So that was something that they always did. And it was just like a community activity type thing. And people came dressed up. Some people didn't. It was just like a, you know, come as you are. If you want to dress up, that's fine. I don't remember any rules in terms of what people were dressing up as. I don't think I saw any demons though. I didn't see anything like that. But I think witches and mummies and vampires, those were pretty common, I guess.
Yeah.
What I remember.
I love to see churches celebrating things that, you know, and bringing people in. My biggest problem with the way churches celebrate Halloween is when they have the haunted houses, the hell houses or whatever, where they're trying to demonstrate what hell probably is like. And, you know, I mean, they all have pretty much the same thing where there's a car wreck and these teens are killed. And if you go home tonight and do that, you know, what are you going to do? And so I had a
They try to like scare you, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Scare you to Jesus. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't like that very much either.
And so I'm not a fan of that. I don't think it's productive. In a long-term conversion experience. I mean, I think you might say the sinner's prayer that night so that you're sure that if you die in a big car wreck and your guts are spilled out on the road like they do in those scenes, that
that's how wrecks happen.
Yeah,
all the time.
You know. So I mean, I don't know. So I just that's one of my biggest issues, I think, with the way churches try to celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big fan of like haunted houses in general, not even churches doing it, but just in general, because they're, I mean,
I get absolutely terrified. I'm terrified. Christina loves to go through that stuff. I'll go through it with her, but I don't
mind them.
We went to one last year and there was this clown like at the end of this thing and the light was blinking. I mean,
the clowns are terrible.
Legit. And of course I'm always the one in front and I was like, nope. 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 Sorry. So then I'm like talking to myself the whole time, like trying to be brave or whatever. I can't stand these things.
I guess what I don't like about them is just the idea that you're intentionally trying to scare someone, and someone maybe have a weak heart and not be able to take that. So, and I'm sure you're signing waivers when you're going in to say you can't sue us if you die, which, you know, you obviously couldn't anyway, but your family can't sue us if you die because your heart failed. Yeah. And so that's the problem I have with those is anything that's trying to do that type of jump scares and just in your face type thing. It just seems dangerous to me. I don't mind them myself. I could go through it. I have a pretty good heart as far as I know. But that's my problem with them. Acts 17, by the way, that's what you were talking about, the statue of the unknown God. I wanted to pitch that in case anyone wanted to look it up, fact check us. It's definitely there.
So one of my girls absolutely loves haunted houses, the adrenaline rush, all of that. And another one doesn't at all. And the younger one, you know, we're always afraid if she goes with her friends that she's going to like turn around and sock somebody because that would be her reaction. It's just, you know, flat out lay them out. I'm not a fan myself, you know, and I think I deal with enough real scary stuff every day of my life that I don't need to go and be scared artificially. I deal with the real scary stuff.
The thing that scares me the most, just in, I guess, horror themed things, is dolls. That's what scares me the most, and I think it goes back to my R.L. Stein days with the stupid puppet. Like that was probably the most scary book.
Slappy.
Yeah.
Yep. Slappy.
So puppets and dummies, those type of things scare me to death.
Our kids love the Goosebumps movies.
Goosebumps 2 is one of their favorites.
Yeah.
But I bought I bought our daughter a book from, one of those book fairs at school. It had Slappy on the front. She wanted it so bad. And then when I brought it home, she seen the cover and she goes, nope, you're not reading that to me.
Nope. Throw it away.
She's like, no, I was just kidding. Okay.
That's great.
But I think, to me, like going back to what Justin said earlier, I think it's really all about intent. Like, what are your intentions? Is it, just to have fun? I think when you get into that, if you're dressing up just to have fun, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it really goes back to what your intentions are with it as far as Halloween goes.
Yeah.
One I'm sure it was like post facto justification that was done on it, but one thing I've heard people try to use to, kind of keep clear to their kids, keep grounded on what these things mean is to say, like, on Halloween, we kind of we don't celebrate, but we show the world as it was before Christ came. Then on All Saints Day, we kind of show, these things are now gone. These things existed in the world before Christ, made holy, made us holy. And I think that could be one way you could explain it to your kids. I do think Brooke has a good point too about causing scandal, like somewhere else in the world, that we also need to be clear about. Like if you're purposely dressing, your grandma or whatever hates you dressing up like Satan, and you purposely go to her house dressed up like Satan, that's, probably not okay.
Right. That's a bit different.
Since you brought All Saints Day, could you give us a little history lesson on what that is, Bowen?
It's where we celebrate all saints.
Who would have fuck it?
No, I do think it, and the day after too, I think is important to mention too, because that's All Souls Day. And so in a lot of other countries, well, in the U.S., we kind of focused on the day before All Saints Day and Halloween, but in a lot of South American cultures, they'll focus on the All Souls portion of it and kind of focus more on like Dia de los Muertos, if I can get my Spanish correct, which is more like a post All Souls Day celebration as well. But yeah, All Saints Day being, like, we celebrate those that are in heaven with Christ now, and then All Souls Day, we celebrate all the souls and pray for those that have passed, that they'll, go to
heaven. So even there are Protestant churches that celebrate All Saints Day. We have an All Saints Sunday that we celebrate every year. And it is an important time that we recognize those who have passed away, that have poured into our Christian walks and faith. And it's also a time that we remember those who maybe have passed away through the year in our church families. And it's actually one of my favorite Sundays of the year, liturgically, because of this, the reminder that, we're all part of that cloud of witnesses, and naming those and lighting the candles. I mean, it's a gorgeous thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I believe the Episcopal Church has the same celebration that what you just described.
Like you said, calling it the cloud of witnesses, one big theological reason why they're all saints and all souls together is like it's a reminder that the church is one. Like it was, usually traditionally split into three: the church militant on earth, the church suffering in purgatory, and the church triumphant in heaven. So it's kind of all three right there together.
Yep. And I think too that if we're going to get on a high horse and start banning all holidays that have pagan roots, then we're not going to celebrate many.
Right.
We're going to have to give up Christmas, give up New Year's. We're going to have to give up probably Easter because of bunnies and all that, fertility gods and such.
Days of the week. Thor's
days
Day,
of the week,
Odin's Day.
the November and January, I believe. So we're going to have to give up a lot of stuff. So I do believe there's power when us as Christians can say, we're going to take your pagan gods and we're going to claim it. We're going to own it. And we're going to show you that the one true God has power over all that. And I think that's what the church has done throughout history.
Yeah, and I think that's important, that we communicate that though to the world. I mean, it's not just enough for us to think that and justify us participating in some of those, but it's to voice that.
Yep.
So when our kids were little and they were very impressionable, we were very careful with how we decorated for Christmas and Easter, so that, now, and here's the funny thing, as they've gotten older, we've had a lot more Santa Claus decorations, but when they were younger, we kept that to a minimum to make sure that we weren't confusing them. And Santa Claus still came to our house and still brought the girls presents, and we went and visited Santa Claus and had pictures. But we just wanted to be really clear as to what we were actually celebrating when they were younger. I think Halloween's the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So now I'm going to turn over the floor to the Ingles family, and they're going to educate us a bit on the Teal Pumpkin Project and how that relates to their kids.
All right. So the Teal
Really
Pumpkin
quickly,
Project.
sorry, before you get started, honey, I was going to ask.
Don't interrupt.
Don't interrupt me.
Sorry.
How dare you?
I was just curious, like, how many of you have heard of the Teal Pumpkin Project or know about it, or maybe seen a teal pumpkin and ever thought, what in the world is that?
I was gonna say,
I
I've
have a
heard of
kid-
it, but mostly through you. So that
Through you.
Through me, okay.
So I have a kid with a food allergy, so I'll just
Okay.
put that
Oh.
out there.
There you go.
Okay, cool.
All right. Now, Christina,
Sorry.
since you were
Go
rudely
ahead.
interrupted,
I was
please
just
continue.
curious.
mute his mic.
I was just curious.
Eat him.
I'm muting myself.
That'll last for like 2 seconds.
So as I was saying,
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we first heard about the Teal Pumpkin Project a couple years ago, I think. It originated, interestingly enough, out of Tennessee. There was a director of like a local food allergy group who came up with the idea of they were just going to paint a pumpkin teal, because that's just kind of like the color for food allergies and asthma awareness in general. And she was going to give out some non-food type treats in addition to candy, just so that kids with food allergies and maybe intolerances or, other health conditions could also participate in Halloween, safely. So that was the idea behind it. And of course, both of our kids, they have food allergies. So, we're like scouring through stuff, trying to learn more about them. And, how can we celebrate Halloween when Zoe can't even touch the candy or be near the candy? Or if a Reese cup gets dropped into her bucket, she's going to have a reaction. So, we were kind of freaking out. She wore gloves the first year, the whole 9 yards. So we were really relieved to find it. And basically, if you want to participate in it, you can paint a pumpkin. So you could just get you, this is a white pumpkin that was painted. You could paint it teal and just set it out by your house, just to let people know that you offer non-food type treats. And Jason will show you some examples of those here in a minute. Yeah. And it just kind of lets you know. And if you don't want to paint a pumpkin, there's also, if you go to foodallergy.org, they have all these cool printouts that you could just print and hang up like on your door and stuff like that, just to let kids know that they can safely trick or treat there. And they have a really cool map on that website too, where you can put your address in. And because there for like a year or two, we'd bring it up on our phone and we'd be like, all right, where's the next house with the teal pumpkin?
Oh, wow.
So so that Zoe
Oh,
didn't
that is cool.
to homes where she'd get up there and we'd be like, oh, sorry, we can't. And we'd have to go back. That's so disappointing for like a kid. So
Yeah.
we would just pull it up on our phone and go to just those houses.
So how much participation did you all see with that project?
Not a lot at first.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't much at first.
not much at all. But the last 1 or 2 years, there's been a trunk or treat at a local church. And there was a mom there with a kid who had food allergies, and she kind of spread the word there. And so at their trunk or treat, we were so excited. There was teal pumpkins like everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And that bucket that Jason has, she was carrying it around, and they would be like, oh, you need non-food stuff. And so they pull out their pumpkin, and give her non-food treats. She was in heaven. She loved it. That was the first year she actually got like stuff that she could show off, Because before we'd have like a safe bucket of candy in the car, and she'd get in, and we'd hand her some safe candy, you know.
Yeah.
But
or I would like walk ahead of Christina and her, and like we would prepackage safe packages of candy. And I'd walk ahead and say, hey, my daughter's is like Piglet. She's coming up here next. Can you give this to her just so she can get to experience Halloween, basically?
Yeah, that's what we did before the Teal Pumpkin Project.
And it's something you don't really think about much until you have a kid with food allergies or, you know, just some sort of disability. You don't realize just how much stuff is in food and in candy in general. And like with our daughter, she had a peanut allergy as well as a tree nut allergy, which are like the two heavy hitters, if you will. And that eliminates a lot of things. Like, I dare you to go try and find some candy that doesn't have peanuts or tree nuts. Or it's not in some way made in a factory where candy with peanuts or tree nuts is made. It's very difficult. So that was a fun challenge that first year. Yeah. And the next year, as we learned more, we just kind of got better about learning which brands were safe and which companies were safe, and all of that. So.
And on that same note too, like the severity of the allergy is different between kids. Like some kids could go around with their regular bucket and trick or treat with candy, and their parents could just switch it, you know, when they got in the car. But like in Zoe's case, you know, she was, if it was in the air, if it was in her bucket and the wrapper was open a little bit, she'd have a reaction. So hers, you know, we had to be super careful about trick or treating.
One of the things that I thought was fascinating, we actually did a trunk or treat one year with our church where we decorated our trunk up just all Teal Pumpkin Project, basically just trying to get the word out because, you know, we had this child that had a food allergy. We were very new to all this. And, you know, we were just trying to get the word out, try to, you know, enable to her to participate and just create as much awareness as possible. But I learned so many parents would come by and say, oh, yeah, my kid is allergic to this, or my kid is allergic to that. And so it wasn't just like a great way to get the word out, but like as a parent of a child with a food allergy, it kind of made me feel better. It was like we weren't alone in this because it didn't seem like there was a lot of information when we first learned about this, you know. So you're kind of like alone, and your family doesn't understand it. Your friends don't understand it. They don't understand why you can't go eat at restaurants, just willy-nilly and stuff, you know. So it's like, well, let me, you know, where do you want to go out to eat? And let me call the restaurant ahead of time and see if they have something safe, or if we need to maybe bring something or something along those lines. So there's a lot more preparation involved.
Yeah.
And so Halloween was very tricky for us the first year.
And any holiday. I think when you have a kid with a food allergy, I love the fact that one of the churches was intentional enough about hospitality. That's a huge thing that I'm incredibly interested in, is authentic Christian hospitality, not just donuts and coffee, but, you know, that making people feel welcomed and thought enough ahead to say, hey, you know, you're not an afterthought, you're welcome here, and here's how we're going to show you.
Right, absolutely. It was amazing. And every year since, you know, we stumbled on, because, you know, we just kind of stumbled on that trunk or treat, every year we've went back and we've noticed, you know, the first year there was like 1 or 2 cars, and last year it was, or year before, because Zoe was sick last year, but the year before it was like all but one had a Teal Pumpkin at the car. So she really got to experience it. And she had a great time. She thought she was over the moon. She thought it was the coolest thing. And, you know, we have found a few random houses, and, you know, like friends and family, they'll do stuff like that, and, you know, have a safe, you know, toy or whatever for her. So,
and just so people are aware, like if you want to participate, you go on that website, and the only thing you put in is your address. Yeah. So like you don't put in any personal information. You don't have to share your name, none of that.
No,
like you
just
put
saying,
in your address.
hey, I'm going to have non-food treats. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then parents they can pull up that app. It like interfaces with Google Maps. So you can pull it up and just select the house, and, you know, it's pretty amazing. So super easy to participate.
I will definitely include that site on the
As far as treat ideas, you know, Christina already mentioned, we got several examples here, but like Halloween pencils and stuff, little puzzles, like these little bug critters here. Our daughter loves these.
Do you see
The
people
spider
giving?
rings?
Do you see
Dracula
people giving
teeth,
out a lot of
that
fruit?
kind of stuff.
Sometimes.
Sometimes
few.
not a lot.
Because I remember getting fruit when I was, and it wasn't for Teal Pumpkin. It was just people would give fruit like apples and
Right.
stuff.
Raisins.
Raisins,
Raisins.
boxes of raisins. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Raisins
was
was a big one.
terrible. Like
I
that's
hated
one of
it.
the worst.
I hated getting fruit. I don't want this. But it is a good option. That would be a good option,
And
Yeah.
interestingly enough, too, when we did that trunk or treat he was talking about, and we decorated the car and we were giving out non-food, we had a lot of kids that came by who did not have food allergies that were excited to get something besides candy.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, we
Glow
get,
sticks.
glow
I was gonna say I would
Major
get glow
hit.
sticks, tattoos. Like
Yeah.
we gave out glow sticks at a parade one year, and that was the hit. Like
Yeah.
But I would think
Yeah, they
temporary
love it.
tattoos would be a fun thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do want to participate, another thing to keep in mind is don't mix the non-food in the food bucket.
Yeah.
We had a few that it was all mixed in. They're like, oh, just grab something. And I'm like, can't really do that. Or I'd grab it for and be like, thank you. So just
And I
make
would
sure
carry around the bucket that wasn't safe.
that wasn't safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So-
would have like a pre-made bucket for Zoe in the car or something.
Yeah. So
Um,
just make sure they're separate. And two, something else to think about is even some non-food stuff has food ingredients. So like Play-Doh has wheat in it. A lot of kids are allergic to wheat. And balloons have latex. A lot of kids are allergic to latex. So I mean, there's a few other, and that website too, it gives a lot of pointers and stuff like that to people who aren't interested in participating. It's really cool.
I'm glad to
And
hear
just
it's expanding too, because I knew I had heard from you all first a few years ago, but I swear I didn't know if it was actually expanding or if it was like one of those things where you hear about it one time and then you just see it everywhere else or something like that after you hear about it the first
Right.
time. But I'm glad to hear that. I did experience a lot too last year at when Julie went to school at St. Anne's. There was a child there that had really bad food allergies, and they did the same thing you all did at their trunk or treat. They gave out like flyers talking about the Teal Pumpkin Project and stuff like that. But one thing I thought
That
was
is
really cool was
awesome.
how in her class, like Julia gradually was trying to learn, like that he couldn't have certain types of foods. I remember her saying a couple times, like, I can't take a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right, Mommy? Because, so-and-so has, he can't be around
Wow.
that. That seems like it's
That's
really
awesome.
hard to get that across. Something I hadn't thought of, like really hard to get that across
Yeah.
to other kids type thing, which is, yeah.
Kids are really, you'd be so surprised. Kids are so
I was,
receptive.
yeah.
They're more receptive than adults, because
That's
you
right.
had adults be like,
Right.
can't she just have one bite? It's not gonna hurt her, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
it could kill her. No, she can't have a bite.
Yeah,
But these kids, they're great.
we found the kids would look out for our
Mhm.
daughter.
Yeah.
Other kids, parents were the problem.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you mean
It's
I
not the
can't do
kids.
this? Or
Yeah.
and so the kids were much more accepting of it, and that was their friend, and they wanted to keep them safe and didn't want them to be sick. But it was always the parents that were pitching a fit about, well, why can't we have that in our classroom? Or
Yeah. And the more that we learned about it, like the more that our family learned about it, the more our friends learned about it, like people just started coming around and just becoming more accepting. Like at first it was kind of hard because it was like, this matters, like she matters, her, her life matters. I just want her to get to enjoy the same thing that every other kid gets to enjoy, but safely. And, like birthday parties have always been scary because you don't know what's there. And now like enough of our friends and parents and other people just know us. They know we have kids with food allergies. So they usually call ahead of time and say, hey, this is what we're planning on having. Is there anything we can do to try to be more accommodating, which is fantastic. Because at first it was not like that. We were just trying to navigate a lot of things. So it's gotten better. It's certainly gotten a lot better.
Yeah, at first I felt like the weird mom because I'd be like messaging people, I'd be like, hey, I know you don't know me, but what kind of cake are you having? Like, I need to know about
Yeah,
the food.
I'm gonna have to
Like-
dictate what kind of cake you're gonna make. I bet that goes over very well.
Yeah, I'm like, I just need to know.
Like we literally keep cupcake mix and stuff in our house at all times.
Yeah, we keep
Because
cupcakes
anytime-
frozen in case there's a
Anytime
party.
Zoe would go to a party, we would just take her a safe cake so she could have cake just like all the other kids. Needed to, we'd take her some safe snacks, or we, find stuff that was safe at the party. And, the parents are pretty good. Like, they would let us go in line first to get her food before everybody just kind of went haywire and cross-contamination and all that stuff. So it's something that got a lot better throughout the years, and I think continues to get better. And it's just, that's really what the Teal Pumpkin Project is. It's just creating awareness around an issue for so many children. And I feel like the more that happens, the better off things are for kids with food allergies. And I read a fun statistic before this that 1 in 13 children have food allergies.
Wow.
If you think about a population in the United States, we've got 360 million people, and there's approximately 15 million people with food allergies. And of those, like 1 in 13 kids, that's at least 2 per classroom usually.
Yeah,
there's
2 in every classroom
Yeah.
Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Well, y'all are doing a great job of evangelizing this project, and I hope that it keeps spreading, and I hope more people will partake in it. I don't get any trick or treaters, so there's no point in me putting any out. But if I did, I would absolutely put out a Teal Pumpkin and make sure that So that's great. I will keep all the information you've just provided. I will put in the show notes.
You can go to the website, the flyer that Christina had, all that stuff. You can get it all for free. They provide all that for free. You ain't got to pay for it. Print it out, whatever you want to do, decorate it, send it to people, all that stuff, like treat bag stuff. They give you all the materials basically to do that stuff and try to spread awareness. So you don't even have to pay for that. It's completely free.
I found too that some of the stores are picking it up. Like the last couple years, CVS had some Teal Pumpkin Project stuff. I thought that was really cool. They had a whole section with a bunch of non-food treats, and they had the pumpkin. And I know Target has picked
Target's
up
a really good store.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting to see it like in more stores too. So that's really awesome.
Great. All right, good stuff. Well, we were just talking about candy or the lack thereof, or other options. So let's go ahead and segue. Appalachian Liturgy Top 5 Debate. To our top 5. So our top 5 this week is going to be on Halloween candies. We will let the Ingles family, you all can fight to the death, and then whoever wins can go through the list.
So we actually like a lot of the same candy, but a lot of the different candy as well. So instead of doing like our top 5, like my top 5 and her top 5, we thought it would be interesting since you guys had us on to talk about Teal Pumpkin, like top 5 candies we could have before we found out about food allergies, and then top 5 afterwards, because
that's good.
That's good. I like it.
Like, you're much more limited in your options. So we thought that would be kind of fun.
All right, let's start with the before.
We were like, we were trying to think of some stuff. I was like, what could we have before? I don't remember this time.
So did you want to do the before list, Ton, or do you want me to do it? Or
no, you're going to do the before. I'm doing the after.
Okay.
There you go. Start with number 5.
So before food allergies,
number
5 was York peppermint patties. I love mint candy. I had an aunt that used to bring me a bag every time they would come visit. Like, love York peppermint patties. Number 4, and I don't know what the name of these are. Maybe you guys can kind of help us out. They're the peanut butter candies, the ones that come in the orange and black wrappers. Like, they're just, there's no labeling
like
on them.
Old school.
Just plain.
The cheap
what those
stuff.
are
What were they called?
Yeah.
They were so good.
Peanut butter
like-
candies.
It was like chewy.
Candies.
It was like chewy peanut butter, and then
Nougat or
inside,
something.
it would have like
So
actual
good.
peanut butter or something. So whatever those are called, that's number 4. Number 3 for us was Hershey's with almonds, because we could have almonds before food allergies, and we absolutely love almonds. Number 2 was Almond Joys. Those went out of the equation.
Speaking of almonds.
And then, of course, number 1 for us is your standard basic Reese cup, normal, thin, giant cups, Reese cups in general. We love peanut butter. So,
fun fact, there's like an official ranked top Halloween candies that I looked up before this thing, and the number one was Reese Cups.
Yeah, that would not surprise me actually.
The 538 one. Was it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't remember.
They had like
I've been looking at the same list.
12-page thesis on like a statistical analysis of Halloween.
All right, Christina.
Part of the reason too is like Reese's isn't just a big thing on Halloween, but like even on Christmas, you get the little Reese's Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just every season they just
Easter eggs.
Yep.
And those are always the best. Why are they always better?
They are better. They are.
They're better
I don't know.
than a normal Reese cup. I don't know why. I'm always like, where are the pumpkin ones? Where are they? Oh no. All right. After food allergies, our number 5, we kind of discussed this one. I don't like this one per se. He does.
It's not terrible.
Uh-oh.
It is not. If you want cat.
What a ringing endorsement.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not making the list.
Number 5 was dots. That was number
dots?
5. Dots.
What is dots?
Boxes of
You don't know what
they
dots
look like
are?
gumdrops. You
They're
seen
the
those?
little gummies. They look
I remember.
and when
They
you
are
chew 'em,
terrible. They are not good. They are not good.
That
No.
was him. That
It's
was
not
him.
making the list. I can just
No.
tell you.
the green
That was
ones are
him.
not the best. I'll admit that. Okay,
Listen,
but the
you
rest are fantastic.
bite into it and your whole tooth is going to come out with it. Like that was not. But that is a safe candy for the kids, and Zoe liked them, so I was like, fine. Number 5. All right. Number 4 was Tootsie Roll Pops.
Okay.
That was one of their safe ones. I love that. 3 was caramel apple suckers. 2, we had Twizzlers,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
Jason would have said that would be 1 for him. But
Oh yeah, that's number 1 all day, every day for me. I love Twizzlers. I seriously get like a 5-pound tub for Christmas every year from
yeah,
somebody.
he asks for.
I don't know who it's coming from, but every Christmas I get like a 5-pound tub. They're fantastic.
It's Santa Claus.
And then number 1 was just Tootsie Rolls in general. It doesn't matter if they're the regular, if it's the colored ones. That was our number 1 for after food allergies.
Yep.
Zoe asks for, the big variety pack of the Tootsie. Yeah, but she just eats all the Tootsie Rolls.
Oh, wow.
Twizzlers was our go-to food allergy candy.
Yeah.
So it still
Very
goes
good.
in the college care packages.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brooke, why don't you go?
Okay, so full disclosure, I am not a candy eater. So this was really hard for me. So number 5 were Sixlets.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Sixlets?
Yep.
Those were like
those are
6
allergy
on mine. They
friendly.
almost made it to mine.
They
Yeah.
almost made it.
What are
got
they?
Honorable mention.
I don't know that I know what.
They're
like-
candy-coated chocolate drops.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
little balls that are like yellow, or they kind of like an M&M, but they're like round balls, and so you can throw them better than M&Ms.
And they're also like every season they have like different colors.
Yeah.
So they're always
Okay.
out.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it. Yep.
Okay. So 4 was just the old-fashioned Hershey bar, like just
With or without almonds?
just plain, nothing in the chocolate, just chocolate.
Almonds are better.
The 1.55 ounce.
Yeah,
Bar.
and the full.
the
Like, if you
allergy
gave
thing.
full ones out, that was even better.
Yep.
Number 3 were ring pops.
Ooh.
Oh, hey.
Oh, I forgot about that, but that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about those.
That's a good one.
And number 2 were Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, of course, number 1 is Reese Cups. I mean, that's my favorite.
Oh,
Candy
wow. There's
anyway,
another
so.
Reese Cup endorsement.
Yep.
Yeah. Except
All
when
right.
I'm pregnant, and then I can't eat peanut butter when I was pregnant. Anytime.
So, you want me to go bowling, or do you
I
want to
can
go?
go then. Yep.
Fine. I didn't want to go.
All right.
Don't make Popeye mad.
Yeah. Give me some spinach. Number 1, spinach. Yeah, so 5, I'll start off with Twix for the same reason Brooke said. That would probably be higher if people gave out full bars more often, but it's always those little tiny ones. So just a single one. So yeah, stays on at 5. Skittles at number 4. Always
yeah.
fun to dump the whole
Skittles are
bag
good.
into your
Skittles.
mouth because they give those little mini ones usually. It's perfect for eating them all at once. Starburst in at number 3. Number 2, I went with bottle caps because I don't really other than Halloween, so it's a very specific Halloween candy to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's really good.
Mhm.
That reminds me of the little wax bottle candies too.
Oh.
Wait,
don't
isn't
like
that
those.
bottle caps?
No,
That's not.
no,
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
not
Bottle
the same thing.
No,
cap. Okay,
very
well,
different.
I was
Very
thinking of
different.
what was Jason was thinking of, and I like that a lot better than bottle caps. Apparently,
I
Like the
know. I
little
don't like the
Coca-Cola
wax things.
bottle.
Yeah, those are
waxy
disgusting.
things.
Yeah.
I would always you'd always like chew the top off of it and get the wax in your mouth, and it was a great experience.
Yeah,
Great experience.
Now these are like
You're
they look like a bottle cap that you put on
Yeah.
like a Coke bottle or beer bottle or something, but they have like root beer flavor, different
Okay.
types of flavors like that. And they're
I don't think I've ate
sugary
those, but
candy.
Sure.
Number 1, Reese's Pieces.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the real winner in the Reese's category. I do like Reese's cups, but I went Reese's Pieces because that is the
You know
best.
what I like better than Reese Pieces or Reese cups? Reese cups refrigerated.
Yeah.
It is
yeah.
amazing.
Yes. If you're going to eat a
Amazing.
Reese cup out of the freezer or the fridge are the best.
Oh yes.
Yep.
With a glass of milk.
I like
Love it.
to put like take a full Hershey bar and put it in the fridge, and then break up the pieces when we do like s'mores or something,
Mhm.
or roasted marshmallows, and take like a cold piece of chocolate and put it through the marshmallow and then roast it, and it melts in the marshmallow. It's fantastic.
So
I'm
I
like,
hate to admit this,
no,
but
no.
my dad's a heretic on things like this. He likes to leave them in the car so that they melt before he eats them. I
Okay,
don't.
that's no. Why?
It's a mess.
You do that?
No, I don't
You're
know.
paying for all this chocolate you're not even getting to eat because it's just going everywhere
I mean,
else.
also, why leave it in the car? You could melt it in a microwave or something. Like, you're on mute, by the way.
I
You
was.
muted
Well,
yourself.
yes, I said
Yeah.
I don't know. He might do that too. I don't know why he insists on the car.
Well, that's fun. So a funny story about something that we would do with Hershey bars growing up. We would get usually, I think it was Hershey bar with almonds, but we would tear them up to little pieces, and we would take a bag of plain potato chips, and I would take a chip and put a piece of the Hershey bar on it. Mom taught me this. Mom eats it still like that and eat it that way. And it is wonderful. It tastes so good. Is that salty? You know, it's kind of like the popcorn, the popcorn and the M&Ms taste.
Yeah.
It's that.
I'm a sucker for like chocolate covered pretzels because of that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So I did have an honorable mention. Speaking of salty and in a Crunch bar.
Mm-hmm.
A Crunch bar was my honorable mention.
Okay, Crunch bar's good. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's get to the correct list. So
we'll see about that.
yeah. So spoilers. I didn't actually like. Apparently, I did not like a lot of chocolate when I was. Yeah, it's weird. I only have one chocolate thing on my list. So my number 5 is Jolly Ranchers.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love anything fruity. I loved, and Jolly Ranchers is one of the best fruit candies that
As long
there is.
as it wasn't real fruit, right? As long as it wasn't real fruit.
It can't be real fruit. That's terrible. As a kid, you don't want that. I would take it now, though, probably. Number 4, Pixie Sticks.
Oh yeah.
That's a good Halloween one.
Remember
Yeah.
those?
That's about the only time I would get them, and I remember I'd rip it open and down it. No, it's just amazing.
Sugar powder everywhere.
You could also put it in like drinks and mixed drinks and stuff with them. Yeah. Number 3, Fun Dip.
Oh, okay.
You remember that with the sugar stick? Had the little white
Yeah.
stick, and it.
In the
Oh
Pixie
yeah.
sugar, pretty much.
God, yours is a sugar just like rush so far.
Yeah. Screw chocolate. Who needs it? Just eat sugar. Okay.
Just
All
sugar,
right.
sugar.
Just get you a 5-pound bag of sugar.
My number two is Nerds.
How did I know this was
Okay.
going to be on the
I like
list when he
nerds.
said fruity stuff?
Yeah, and you're on mute again, Bowling. But yeah, Nerds.
Didn't say anything, but
And my number 1 is Sugar Babies.
Oh, okay.
That's my chocolate, and
Yeah.
oh, I love it. I still love it. It's probably one of my favorite candies. What's wrong with you people? Like, why don't you like my
Does
candies?
anyone, if I had to do an honorable mention to follow up with what Brooke did, I would say, does anyone remember the Risen candies?
Yeah.
Come in a bag. It's like chocolate coated, but then there's like this hard caramel in the middle,
Nougat
caramel,
kinda
however you say it.
thing.
Yeah. Those are fantastic too. I always thought that those were a treat.
So I had Milk Duds on here, and I took it off at
I
one
love
point.
Milk Duds.
I like
Those
Milk
are
Duds.
good. You just can't eat them fast, or
No.
you'll lose all your teeth. Same too. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, so now we're going to have to consolidate and come up with 5 for a final list. So
Right. Reese's, obviously.
Reese cups.
Obviously.
Something Reese's could be a cup, could
Yeah.
be pieces.
we'll go with Reese cups, refrigerated.
Something Reese's is one, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone like anything from my list? I mean, was Fun Dip pleasing to you all? Like, can I get
Pixie Sticks personally, just because that's more of a
Pixie
Halloween specific thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pixie Sticks. Can I have Pixie Sticks on this list?
You can have
Maybe.
Thank you. Want my Pixie
I like
Sticks.
how he said this is the best list, and then he says, "Does anyone like anything on this list?" Like,
That's usually how it goes.
There's
so
a
much
pattern here.
confidence.
Yeah.
No one
So
likes
much-
my list.
You had so much confidence in your list, and then that all got deflated once we went through it. It's like nobody likes my candy.
Every week.
All right, so Reese Cups, Pixie Sticks.
Hershey's was a duplicate. I think that's the
Yes.
only other duplicate
Yeah.
we had, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Hershey. Okay, Hershey bar.
We got 2 left.
I mean, Tootsie Rolls, wasn't that duplicated? It was duplicated on some lists. I think it was duplicated on Christina's list twice.
I said Tootsie Roll and Tootsie Roll
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
Regular, and then, hey, there's a difference. Pop, okay.
I mean, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop?
I remember.
We'll
those.
never know.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah.
know.
Never know.
How
3.
many times have you tried
3.
that? And then
Honestly,
make
I don't think I've ever tried it because I hate
I
Tootsie
have.
Rolls, and so I will not touch the pops. Won't touch it. Yeah. Obviously my
out.
taste buds are just not.
Those are on the
just
safe
terrible.
list, though. So maybe we take one out of Tootsie Rolls
I
just in
think
general.
Tootsie Rolls go.
Tootsie
Yeah.
Rolls.
on the
Tootsie
list.
Rolls.
Yeah.
Okay, Tootsie Rolls.
The other one I wanted to advocate for is whoever said the caramel apple pop.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Christina.
Mhm. Those are very specific Halloween, I think.
Yeah, I think you can only find them around Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, or at least during the fall.
I honestly didn't even think of those, and that is probably my favorite sucker. So
Yeah,
I would have duplicated it if I thought of it, but
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, like after you said Skittles, I was like, duh, I didn't think of Skittles.
Yeah.
Yep.
so caramel apple pop, Tootsie Rolls, Hershey, Reese, and Pixie Sticks.
Pixie Sticks. Yeah.
We good with that?
Good with it.
We could have had at least one more from mine, but it's okay. It's okay. I forgive you all.
It's debatable.
All
right.
You just had sugar on there with
Yeah.
flavor.
I know.
number one,
Flavored sugar.
granulated sugar.
let's just give Stacy packets of sugar. You know.
It needs to be fruit flavored though, or I don't want it. All right. Well, this has been a great episode. We've talked about a lot of important Halloween related topics, and thank you, Ingles family, for joining us. We hope some point down the road you can join us again and talk about something else very important.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having us.
But like I said, all of the information you provided will be in the show notes, so everyone can find out about the Teal Pumpkin Project. And thanks, everyone, and peace be with you. And good night.
Bye.